Welcome to Onwriting with Onkarabile, a show that aims to promote reading and writing in the communities. We seek to restore pride and dignity of Africans through the power of reading and writing. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Onkarabile Mokoto and I am your host. Please don't forget to subscribe, to share online, to get more content as we are embarking on another exciting conversation with Sindisiwe Zulu, who is the founder of Reading is Super Cool project, which focuses on enhancing the skills of reading in children. And she's here to share more on that. Cindy, thank you so much for coming again.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Yes. Now, today we are talking about a very different, an interesting topic.
Yes.
Your project that you have started, that focuses on enhancing the skills and fostering the love of reading, in kids. Let's talk about that, the project. When did you start the project and what really inspired you to start that project?
Thank you so much for having me again. Reading Super Cool was born, the idea was born in 2018, and then we officially started in 2019. The reason for starting the organization is, firstly, I grew up as an avid reader. Okay. I used to love reading so much. My late grandmother was a Jehovah's Witnesses, so we'd have Bible studies and would go to church, and we'd used to read a lot. Okay. So we to read a lot, the Bible and all of those books that they produce. So that is how I started the love for reading. And then in 2019 when we started as a small book club. The reason I started is because my niece, who's now she's a teenager now, she was struggling. She was struggling at school and she did not produce good grades. So I started with her and a few of her friends, and then we kickstarted the project, and then they actually gave the name to the organization, which is really super cool. And then in 2021 I registered it as an NPO and partnered with other organizations around Soweto. All
right. So tell me, why did you choose specifically kids? Or is it because of the reason that you just give me now? That your niece is the one that really inspired you to choose the kids. And why did you see that many kids are struggling, not only her?
So we all know that there's actually a need for organizations like myself, because so what good do your words do as an author on Onkarabile if they can't understand them? So I realized when I look at the stats in South Africa, our literary levels are so low. So many adults as well don't know how to read. So it's better and then we foster the love and the love of reading and understanding, so there'll be better adults and produce leaders as well. So that is initially how I began working with kids, and I'm a mother and I love children, and it's much easier to teach younger people than to educate a full-grown adult who thinks was yonki into. So
that's perfect. So let's talk about the programs that you have when it comes to reading is super cool. One of the programs that you run is story time sessions, which include reading aloud session. Let's just unpack that.
So the reading aloud sessions, they're very important and vital to the development of abantwana. Reading aloud builds up confidence in children. So story time is actually one of the best activities that they love, because most of the time I read the stories to them, and so they love to hear me reading to them. Yeah. Because most children in our communities, in the townships, their parents don't read to them, so they don't know how it feels to be read to. So they really enjoy that. And then we also do a readathon, so where we read a book and then we pass it around for everyone to get a chance to read, and for everyone to actually know how to read and know what exactly he or she is reading.
Okay. Yes. And also when it comes to the issue of reading, do you only read, or do you guys have maybe a time where you do some role play? Like what they read about, they maybe put into practice or something like that?
Yes, over the years, I've actually met some great people and big organizations that have actually taught me on how to run some of the programs that we do. So 2 weeks back, we had a session, the Saturday class at the Sotupu Cafe, and we read a book, Ulanga by Masugu, and then I asked the children to pick a word that they learned from the story, draw what if maybe the children learned about rain in the story, they will draw rain, and then they will actually create a story using the word that they learned from the story, and so forth, that we go as far as doing role play using the story that we read and what they learn from the story, the lessons from the story, and all of that.
Oh, okay, that's nice. And let's talk about the phonics and early reading. Same on the story time sessions. You also have a section where you talk about phonics and early readings. Can you please elaborate on that?
So early readings and phonics is vital for children. It goes back to early childhood development. So it goes back to umntwana uma esesibelethweni. So you start reading from them when they inside the womb. Awuqali nje when they born. So you start reading from them inside. You read from them when they're like 6 months, and then you start handing them books when they're like 3. So you phonics and sounds A, E, O, U, boo for boy. So you start with those so that they can know that boo for boy, not A, B, C. Phonics are sounds A, boo, K for cats. So we start with those at an early age to develop the love of reading and to actually foster literary skills for them to be upstanding adults in the society.
That's a great initiative, really. And let's talk about the workshops also, under the programs that you have, the story time sessions and the workshop. The second one is the workshop. So what's happening on the workshops?
So the workshops are for the community which is the teachers and the parents as well. So we have created a relationship with local primary schools to work with the teachers and the parents as well. So in the workshop, we usually invite big organizations like Lihasa to actually educate the parents on how to help or assist their children with homeworks, or how to help their children with reading, and for them to know how to read and understand what they are reading. And we also working on actually encouraging adults to actually start reading from even from that age. Even you'd have like abogogo would say, "I got thina asizazi lezinto." So those workshops are for them. They are for the community so that they can assist the children.
But do teachers come and support this initiative?
Yes, they do. Hence, I'm saying that we've partnered with the local primary schools, and I recently attended a meeting or a session where there was government stakeholders and NPOs, and how we can collaborative work together, NPOs and government to actually work together for the betterment of the education in South Africa. Because what I'm doing is not actually just a book club or a reading organization. We're actually a backup. We are a push in the education. We're actually filling in those gaps in the education system in South Africa. Because teachers can't do it all themselves. They need us as the NPOs. They need the parents as well, the community. It takes a village to raise a child. So.
And
yes.
Another thing that in your workshops that you do is letter recognition. How do you guys go about doing that?
So I'll be really honest. Most of the children that we work with, I would say like 80% of them, they don't know how to read. They can't recognize certain letters because of the lack of early childhood development. So if we're to invest in early childhood development, then like most children, when they enter primary school, it'd be easy for them to actually maneuver around reading and writing. So it'd be actually a better thing that now there's a new government. I'd really love to see a lot of funding going into early childhood development. So most of these children, they're really struggling. But a few of them who actually have upstanding parents have actually invested in their children's education, and they're able to read, they're able to spot letters, they're able to spot where, they're able to spot, even if we do a role play and story time, able to say, this is a man, any man, So it's actually an improvement there.
And I mean, earlier you spoke about phonics and early reading. But again, on the workshops, you also talk about early reading strategies. Apart from the ones that you spoke about, the phonics, what are other strategies for early reading that you do, especially on the workshops?
So one of the things that I picked up from the meetings that I went to is the need to have children's books that children will identify to, linguists. So most of these children don't even know how to read in their mother tongue. So we need to produce children's books that children will relate to. If you write a book now for children, in the illustration you need to use an illustration where a kid can. It's easier for children to understand something if they relate to. So that is one of the most important core factors. And then another killer strategy that I've been using with some of the kids that we're tutoring is I just tell them to just read anything, read a newspaper, read every day, read even when you are in the bathroom, read before you sleep, read when you wake up, just for them to get used to reading, and it'd be easier for them to actually maneuver,
Yeah. And the last one that I want us to talk about, the workshop, is the parent and caregiver workshops that you run, So in those workshops, what's happening? Parents come, caregivers come, and they read. What's really happening there?
So in the past, I was fumbling and I had no knowledge of some of the things that I was doing. So I initially just invited parents and with their children. So what we did was just giving a book to umzali nomntwana for them ukuthi bafunde boy too. Okay. So that is what we actually did in the past. But now, since I will partner with big organizations like Nalibala, and I'm going to some coaching sessions and some mentorship sessions. So now I know exactly how to do some of the things that I actually had an idea of what I wanted to do. So I'm busy with the mentoring and coaching to give back to the community, to be effective, and to run a program actually that would make an impact and would make sense to the community, other than just doing my thing and floating. So now it's a good time because I'm partnering with big organizations like Nalibala. So they will give me all the tools and resources.
So the library, book reading library, how did you go about, and what are you now planning, since you're now working with other organizations? What are you now planning to do with the book reading library?
So the book reading library is actually it's a collaboration between Reading Super Cool and Soweto Book Cafe and Mordecai Publishing. So library is one of the spaces that is not taken seriously, especially here in the township, or I'd say here in South Africa. And you have stigmas, people saying that black people don't know and don't want to read. Yeah. So the library is an environment. It actually excites the kids to know that konindawo yencwadi laphaya. Before, when I grew up, we used to be even scared to enter the library. At some point, before I used to love reading, I used to be scared of going in the library. So the library is a space now, is a safe space for children to know, singaya laphaya siyothatha incwadi, singaya laphaya siyofunda. Laphaya is space actually, and it is good ukuthi mele sazi ukufunda, mele sazi ukuthi sifundani. So so far we have nothing planned in terms of my collaboration with Soweto Book Cafe, but to just utilize the space for children to come, and for the Saturday sessions that we actually held there, and for the children to access his Nwadi, and for me being there as Utisha was a library, which is how they refer to me. Now we didn't know that they were librarians. We had no idea what a library. So I'm actually a role model to these kids. Now Utisha was a library. When they see me, they think books, and they would actually love ukuthi baye nasesikolweni ngoba sebayazi ukuthi ukufunda kumnandi, and they enjoy being educated and being academics. So we actually building leaders in this organization. I mean,
and I love what you are doing. Especially when it comes to a library and what you are saying now, and you are very right. I mean, I can attest to that. That I also thought library is for, when I grew up, I thought it's for old people.
Yes.
People who are going to school, universities and stuff. I never thought as a kid I can go to a library. Only to find out now when I grew up, when I went to the library, I see the section of kids. But, how? Can't all along, now when I was young, I never went to a library.
The library was for
yeah,
adults.
because it's not for adults. You know, I was like, when we got there, they would chase us out. Hey, you kids, what are you doing here? You understand? So you know, I thought so. So I like what you're doing, that you're just introducing the kids. They must know that library there is a section for kids when you go to a library. So I love what you are doing. But let's just pause it a little bit and go for a short break, and then when we come back, we are continuing with this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Onwriting with Onkarabile, a show that aims to promote reading and writing in the communities. We are still having Sindisiwe Zulu, the founder of Reading is Super Cool project, which focuses on instilling or enhancing rather reading in children and fostering the love of reading. Cindy, let's continue about our conversation. You know, we spoken about the library before we went for break. And during break, you were laughing that, you know, I didn't even do the attempt to go to a library because I was afraid that they will, you know, because, you know, when you're a kid, some of the places you are not allowed to enter. So you are thinking that this one is not for me, you know. Hence I said, I really love what you're doing.
Thank you.
And yeah, so continue with the good work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
But let's talk about the follow-up. How do you make sure that the kids that are in your project are really improving?
Wow, that's a good question. So we work with so many kids, and it's actually hard to track some of the progress that some of these kids are making. But I will assure you, umntwana being there in the space, so to put cafe, attending maybe during the week or the Saturday classes actually makes a huge impact, because now umntwana is being introduced to this book, umntwana is being introduced to reading, and it actually enhance his or her literary skills. So just the space functioning, it makes a huge difference, because now you look at ama library seyikolweni, I'm sorry, but there's, to say this, there's so many organizations like South Africa. In Tabayenza, they just hand over books. They hand over books. Some of them, they activate these libraries. But then you go back to find they are not functioning. The library does not have a librarian. The library, but the library value. They can't access the library. So the space being there and us being there in Abotami and actually functioning is a huge difference. Because we are tall and actually able to assist him or her to get a book. And then, we haven't really had a system to track progress, but I'm always happy ukuthi umntwana uzile took a book or we are attend ama Saturday classes, and then we are when they come back, actually we are born good. Oh, okay, this one we are like they getting there. So it's actually a good thing now that we're gonna partner with our organization and actually equip us with the right tools and resources.
But do you guys have any testimonies maybe from parents of the kids themselves where they tell you that, I'm improving?
Yes.
Do you have such?
My niece, for instance.
Okay.
Okay, this thing is actually working. So we do have quite a few parents and praise us. I'm like, don't stop what you're doing. Just continue doing what you're doing, because most of these children, hence I said that the space being functional is important to the children in the community at large, because most of these children have not been to like the library, the big libraries that the government have. They had no idea idea maybe ukuthi they even existed. So the space functioning is what is important. So I think the government needs to like invest in librarians, in activating school libraries. Or Tina Sizoyenza, I guess my organization, I'm planning to actually focus on that, activating a library which be functional in schools and in public spaces as well.
Do you think the stats that we got, I think it was around last year, if I'm not mistaken, that many grade 4 learners cannot read with meaning? Do you think what you are saying now about having libraries at schools without functioning can actually be the cause of such? Because the stats said that they cannot read even in their own mother tongue, like in any language.
Yes, Onkarabile abakwazi ukufunda ngesiZulu, abakwazi ukufunda ngesingisi. It's actually sad and terrible. It's a disaster. But we working on it, and the stats were actually true, very true. Yeah. Or even maybe nje kuwesi kakhulu, because you know how our statistics are bashaya ngakhona, you know. So it's actually true, and most of them struggle reading in their mother tongue. I don't even understand kanjani, you see. So we need functioning libraries in school, and we need the teacher training on how to actually education ihlezi iphucuka. So teachers themselves, they need to go kulama training and improve so that they can be able to go back by classini bafundise ngendlela yesimanje manje abantwana bazo understand ngayo. I believe ukuthi education is actually changing, innovative nayo kwayona. So we need to look at that ukuthi abatisha mele nabo bazo equip with the trainings, and when they go back to the classroom they actually know what they're doing and they actually make an impact, you know.
But apart from the strategy that you are coming with is very, very interesting, and by the look of things can very be functional when you guys focus more on making libraries functional.
Yes.
And you speak a very interesting point now when you speak about the teachers being trained, because I wanted to ask you a question of saying, do you think the teachers or education system on its own does taking reading seriously, or we only focus on syllabus, that the kids need to focus on the first item, I need to be done as a teacher, I need to finish
So there's a public schools, right? In public schools, you get like 45 to 50 children. So that's a lot for Tisho Kala. So a headache. So now you find some of these children getting that one-on-one attention, and teacher like that one-on-one. So the best advice I'd say is for the government to actually work with us. Hence, I said I went to a session last week, Mandela Day, and it was the government saying, hey, come work with us. There is funding internationally. We have money as the government. Please help us. So I remember there was a slide where bavezi Riavaya, ipushwa abantu. So they said Riavaya njengoba sibona is an idea of the education system, and wonke lo muntu ipusha, it is us, the NPOs, the NGOs, or the library, so Tupu Cafe, and everyone who can actually collaborate and fill in those gaps in the education system. So the government is saying it is there. Yeah, admit there's so many flaws in the education system, the curricula, the syllabus. So now we are here with these ideas, and they're saying, come, we want to actually change the sphere of education in South Africa. So I think we are working towards it, and eventually in the end, we will see some wins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about, one of the things that I've seen, and you spoke about it a little bit rather earlier, that there's this stigma that, black people don't read and stuff. And one of the things that people, when it comes to reading, people take it as a burden. Reading's a burden, So what do you do to help kids to enjoy reading, not to take it as a burden?
So the first things first, umuntu mele understand naqala engqondweni yakho ukuthi reading is fun. I'm not reading to write a test. I'm not reading to write an assignment. I am reading for fun. I'm reading to fill up my soul. I'm reading to enjoy. So we don't have any strategies, but me being there and reading to them, I feel like if we start reading to them young, they actually grow up and understand ukuthi ukufunda kuso ukuthi uyobhala esikolweni. Uyafunda to actually for the betterment of yourself, you improve grammar, you actually become smarter. Now you know a whole lot of information. You can actually read about Australia. Now you're like, oh, Australia, there's a bridge in Australia. So you hear at Dobsonville, but you've actually been to Australia because you've read about Australia. So we actually teach them the one of the other things that is important, the content. We need to look at what the children are reading. So most of these children's book that I grew up with, and the one that I see in these libraries at school, in what is like 1948, and the children don't relate. Hence, I'm saying we need to produce new material content that the children will actually relate to, and then they love it. Children are easy. I mean, they just love everything that seems fun. If you make it seem fun, then they will say, this is fun. So I feel like, we
So are you challenging us as authors to actually write books that...
Yes. I attended another meeting on the side where they mentioned the gap in children's literature. So we need to start writing children's book, and there's actually a market for them. If uyayibhala izothengwa, and if uyayibhala, the department will come in and actually use that book.
Just give us some ideas, as authors, since when you are working with kids and you speak about writing relevant content or a content that relate with them. Give me ideas, an author. I'm watching a show now. What can be things that I write about that relate to these kids?
Anything. If you're a parent, you'd know what to write for kids. Kids are not hard to please. So you look at Usiyamasugu, Ulanga. So ubhala ngulanga, ubhala ukuthi ulanga uthandi juice, uthanda ukudla. Ulanga ubhala izinto abazorelatana. So in the book uyachaza ukuthi ulanga ugogo wakhe uyamthuma, but yena ufika at his friend's place, uyahlala sekayadlala kunethi imvula, and then ubuya early. So in kuleso story there's that element educates umntwana ukuthi endlini if bayangithuma esitolo kumele ngiye esitolo ngiphinde ngibuye ngingaqale endaweni zami. So in the end ugogo uyamthethisa ulanga ukuthi how long ngiyakuthuma uqale endaweni zakho so ubuye ebusuku. So you go as far and saying to the kids, if uyahamba uqale endaweni zakho ubuye ebusuku, you might get kidnapped. So now the kids are like, okay, mawuthunywa kumele uhambe ubuye lapho ungayi endaweni zakho because ngaba kusebusuku ungabanjwa. So with me actually working on an idea to write a children's book. There's another one. I'm probably going to come here next year for it, things a publisher. But the one I thought I'd write in Zulu is about me. It's about Usindi, a girl othanda incwadi, and how she grew up, waqala this thing that I'm doing, and all of that. So you can write about so many things. You can write about a boy who loves soccer. All of those elements that the authors in the olden days used to write about. But writing an element of how maybe a South African child can relate and understand it. Good. Now ubonga uthanda ukudlala ibhola. Ubonga bekathanda ukudlala ibhola mncane. Maybe ufake story ukuthi noma ubonga athanda ibhola, ubonga mela esikolweni, maybe get a degree. Umntwana uzo understand ukuthi if I have a talent ngiyathanda lokudlala ibhola and I'm very good at dlalela ibhola, but I'd also have to go back to school because le bhola leli lingangishiya endleleni, mele ngibalance. So we need to write stories that actually educate abantwana and actually uplift abantwana to be leaders. I mean, readers are leaders.
What about those stories that, some of us grew up being read to at school, and some of them were storytelling about, I don't know what you call it in Zulu.
Inganekwane.
Yeah, Inganekwane. And, those ones you read about the monster, big person with yeah. What about such stories?
I think some of the stories were also meant to educate us, uplift us, and some of them were actually trying to warn us about the dangers. There's one in particular that a child friend bekhona maseli soto maybe abazala bekho maseli soto, and then this guy knocks, this monster knocks, and then the other children they go and hide, and then this one yena uyahamba yena uyayivulela le monster yamthatha iyompheka seyimhile, and now they have to explain why did you open the door. So it's another thing ifundisa umntwana sebayazi okay, you should not talk to strangers, you should be cautious, ungavele nje ujampele noma kuphi. So I think the inganekwane nazo were meant to educate us about certain dangers and uplift us as children.
Okay, and you also do it like the storytelling in your sections. Do you also do, apart from being read, do you also do storytelling?
Yes, we've actually tried doing that, and we partnered with Dr. Sasa. So we actually invited her to a Soweto Book Cafe, and then she was like, all systems go. So she's gonna come back and actually do storytelling, and actually I will learn from her. She has like a program where I can learn from her on how to enhance my Nganegwane telling skills to the children.
Okay, and let's talk about, in 1 minute that is left, the funding before we go for our second break. You spoke about it, and how, I mean, this kind of project need funding.
Exactly, we need a lot of mullah. So in the past, it's not 5 years. In the past 5 years, I haven't looked into actually getting like corporate sponsorship or government funding. And actually seeing an impact. Remember when I started, COVID, but I was full force in COVID because I saw a huge gap. This is a mess. So even during COVID, like, it was full force. We had classes, we had reading sessions and all. So I haven't looked in Ndabenzimali. But then now it's like, 5 years later, 2024, new government, and even the sessions that I'm attending actually saying that they need us and they'll give us all the monetary that we need and the resources and international funding. They spoke a lot about international funding being there, but we need to partner with other organizations and the government. So I'm actually looking into that right now and actually writing proposals and sending them out there. And we have immaterial any proof that this is who we are, this is our work. So I don't think it'd be hard for us to actually get funding for some of our projects.
Okay, let's go for a short break, and then when we come back, we will wrap up this conversation. Stay tuned, we'll be back shortly.
The Creative Corner with Nolu Knowles, a cozy and inspiring show that features interviews with artists, showcases their work, challenges, and successes. Every Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on Share Radio. Tune in live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. This is Share Radio.
Welcome back to Onwriting with Onkarabile, a show that aims to promote reading and writing in the communities. We seek to restore pride and dignity of Africans through the power of reading and writing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still having Sindisiwe Zulu, the founder of Reading is Super Cool project, which is focusing on fostering the love of reading and enhancing literacy skills in children. Sindisiwe, we spoke a lot, and we are now wrapping up the conversation. And earlier on, I asked you a question about how do you make, reading not a bit, and you answered very, very correct. But I want to know the role of parents, as the organization. How do you encourage parents? Not because now when they get home, Cindy is not there.
I can't monitor.
Yeah, you can monitor them. So how do you extend your hand? Especially encouraging parents to continue with the job that you are doing.
Okay, I recently started a WhatsApp group for me and the parents. So we usually talk about most of the stuff that we do, and that is where I actually get that one-on-one nomzali as umuntu omdala to umuntu omdala ukuthi this is what you need to do if you want to see umntwana ka prosper. So iqale ekutheni ukuthi ufuna ukubona umntwana ka umuntu onjani now as a parent uyamthanda na enough to invest ku education yakhe ukuthi i-development yakhe ihamba kanjani. So I straight talk to abazali one-on-one on WhatsApp.
Okay, all right. And tell me about your long-term plan of this project, and what's the future holding for you?
The future.
Yes.
Okay, so this Saturday we're actually launching Soweto Kids Book Club, which will be one of the biggest kids book club in South Africa. We're launching it at the Soweto Book Cafe. So it will have the same model as iBook Club le abantu abadala, where we would have like an author coming in and doing some stretching, affirmations, or anything that he or she wants to do with the children, and then there'll be like storytelling and maybe handing over of the books if the author wishes to donate to the space. And then one of the other most important things that I think I'll be focusing on is the librarians. I want to see functioning libraries in schools. I want to see functioning libraries in the community. And I think if I were were to receive funding, I'd actually put a lot of that money towards seeing these libraries functioning, because the children loved the library, apparently. There was a school that I volunteered at Laizone in Tandweni. So the library has been like closed. Some of them don't even know what that is, the library. And it came in, I was like, okay, I'll do this for free. And it was a huge turnout. I was so amazed but excited at the same time to see Uti. All of these children are like, how? Teach us the library. Why has the library been closed? So I actually found out it is not a burden for children to actually pick up a book and read. They do love books. They do love reading. It is only us abantu abadala nje siyabacabangela abantwana and siyabadecide ukuthi it's a burden. They don't love reading. With what I've seen, I can attest and say children love reading.
So do you still continue with that in that library
No.
So it means it's closed
not
again?
Not at the moment. It's closed, but hence I'm focusing on the functionality of libraries, and since I'm collaborating with the primary school, Konalapezondi, we will have the functioning library soon at Ntandweni. I can promise you that.
Because I believe that, or the same as we have librarians in the librarians that are in the townships, we also have to have librarians full time who are working there.
Yes.
I mean, who get paid.
Who get paid. That is where the government comes in with funding. So that's someone anga give up.
Exactly.
The reason I left was because I found a job. So I had to take the job and give the space.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was interested in that space. Yes.
Yeah, you see, I think that is a challenge. So, but I'm glad that you are saying the government said to you guys, come. So this idea will really, show them that it's the same. Like we have a library in the township, like where I come from. There are librarians who are working there full time. You cannot go to a library and you find it closed.
Yes.
It's impossible.
Yes.
Because there are people who are working there full time. They get paid to work there full time. So if you can have someone like you in the library, obviously you're gonna be there and have that passion.
Yes.
So all will be good, and I will see that fostering the love of reading in our kids. But Cindy, we are about to come to the end of our conversation, just guidance, to someone who is watching a show now. You are a parent, you are a teacher, you are a caregiver. What can you say to them when it comes to the fostering the love of reading to kids?
Okay. Firstly, to Amacresh, to the ECDs, can you all please just reach out to the government or to people like us and stop running away from the government because of paperwork? The government is saying now it is there. It is actually there to assist you because we want to see a better South Africa. Readers are leaders. To the parents out there, invest in your children's education. If uthanda abantwana bakho ngempela, you'll do whatever it takes for them to be outstanding adults in society. Ncedisa abantwana ngehomework, attend ama-meeting esikolweni. Don't let the school teachers ukuthi kube yinkinga zabo. They're only there to actually introduce curricula or teach your children whatever that they're teaching them. You must also be there to assist. So it takes a village. Let us be a village as the teachers, librarians, the government, the parents, and actually raise these leaders.
And if people want to know more about this project that you are running, Cindy, and some they want to invest, they want to partner with you, spoke about partnership, where can they get hold of you?
Reading Super Cool on Facebook for now, but then we'll launch Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. And then you can find me on 079-154-7038 Ngusindi Zulu. If you can't get hold of me, go socials, you can just come to the Sotupu Cafe and ask for Cindy. Sotupu Cafe is 1023 Mafumbo Street.
Mafumbo Street this way?
Zondi 1.
Oh, Zondi 1.
Next to Emngamlezweni, the famous face brick double story.
All right, Cindy. No, thank you so much for honoring our invite.
Thank you so much
once
for
again. And yeah, I hope you will come again.
This is such a great platform.
Yes, no, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we are glad that you are always available to come to our studio.
Thank
you, ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the end of our show. That was Mrs. Sindisiwe Zulu, the founder of Reading is Super Cool, which focuses on fostering the love of reading and enhancing the literacy skills in children. And she spoke mouthfully, and I believe that we are going to get contacts. We are going to get in contact with her and just to get to know more about what she's doing. Thank you so much for watching our show. Share Online. Let's meet next time, same place, same time on Share Online, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.